I first want to start off this video by saying thank you to all the firefighters, the hand crew members, the neighbors, the friends, everyone that is in California helping one another, helping themselves. All right, I keep you all in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm hoping for everyone's safety and a quick recovery to this. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you feel like you got a little bit of that common sense that's not so common, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you don't, please hit the subscribe button, because baby, every time I get in Instagram comments, I'm a little concerned. I don't think the disease is spreading, y'all. I really, truly don't. But today is going to be another common folk perspective video. This one is specifically on Assembly Bill 2147, which allowed incarcerated firefighters have their records expunged to help them further become firefighters once they are released.
Oh my God! Wow!
So we're gonna go over the details on that bill and comment a little bit of the controversy behind it before we get any deeper. Remember, I don't have any law degree. I don't have an official law training, so don't come for me. Before we get deeper, my name is Key, and this is What's the Key.
For me, break, for me, break the body for me.
All right, y'all, let's get right into it. As always, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes, and any bell or munching you're hearing is my cat City doing kitty things, okay? So, yeah, I got into this because I couldn't in my right mind think about how these firefighters, specifically the incarcerated firefighters, are out there being paid anywhere from $1 to $10.24 a day.
I mean, it's just bullshit.
Okay, in some cases they get a little extra dollar because they have to work in an emergency standpoint, and they're making up about 30% of this workforce. So I started digging deep into this. I'm like, there has to be something for them when they get out. You know, they at least got to be able to become a firefighter when they get out if you got them fighting fires in prison, right?
Makes sense to me.
And this is what this bill is supposed to be doing, all right? It is Assembly Bill 2147, and it's an expedited expungement for former fire crew members. And this is all part of California's Conservation Camp Program. For the purpose of this video, California Conservation Camp Program will be CCCP. So, you know, help me out. Okay, y'all, so in 2021, they decided to put this law back in effect because back in 2017, wildfires have burned over 30,000 different structures and took over 128 lives. They also, in this time period between 2017 and 2021, had burned over 1 million acres of land. So wildfires were really something that was getting out of control in California, and they noticed that there was a huge labor shortage because of this. So they noticed there was over 44 conservation camps and partners with the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection in 27 different counties, okay? So they were already counties that were using incarcerated personnel to fight fires. So in 2017, there were about 650 incarcerated firefighters that were helping. In 2018, that number went up to 800. In 2020, it went to 400 to incarcerated firefighters. And that could be because in 2020, you know, they were doing a lot of releases, especially for nonviolent crimes due to COVID, so that they could have more space into the jail. So that is probably a big reason the number dropped in 2020. And during that time period between 2017 and this 2021, when this bill came out, 3 of them had passed away due to wildfires, the incarcerated firefighters. At this time in 2021, there were 3,700 incarcerated firefighters, with over 2,500 of them being Fireline certified. So they went through the training and everything they needed while in jail, and they are full firefighters, outside for one part, pretty much. But when it comes to the aspect of fighting the fire, they are fully trained on doing that while incarcerated. Then they also had hand crews. So they used hand crews to help clean up things like sandbagging and flooding and the aftermath that happens with any kind of natural disaster and stuff like that. They used incarcerated personnel as well, and these were called hand crews. So the incarcerated firefighters and hand crews were doing all this, but then when they were being released, they couldn't be hired, especially not for firefighters due to their felony records and etc. So in 2021, when they were making this bill, they had the mindset like, hey, they were doing all this to help with public safety and things like that, and the service that they provided to the state. We need to make it easier for them to have access to these type of jobs when they get out. So they created this bill, Assembly Bill 2147. Now, there are people that are ineligible, and please note, these people that are ineligible of having their records expunged once they get out would not be able to be part of the CCP program to begin with. So it's not like they would have them, oh, you're in there fighting fires, etc., etc. You get out, oh, you can't do it. No, they wouldn't be part of the program at all.
I feel sorry for you. Oh, yeah.
So any unaliving somebody, any actual offenses, crime, kidnapping, any type of lewd acts on a child under the age of 14, arson, of course. And if you are on, if any crime that you had put you on that register list, so outside of just the X crime, if you got made it to that list in any type of way, this will not apply, so you cannot become part of the program. And then lastly, if you try to escape out of a secure perimeter within the last 10 years, which I don't understand why. That I can understand why that makes sense, because you could not be part of the program because they have to trust you to be able to go out, fight fires, and then come back. So if you have, okay, that makes sense. I'm gonna say when they leave, I was thinking of it at first from the leave, like if they leave, what the hell does it matter? No, if you're in jail, of course, yeah. If you try to escape, we can't be having, nobody got time to be chasing out there. But yeah, I can't see that in prison, etc. If they had tried to escape and still incarcerated, then yeah. They said any denials for the expungement of the record should be done without prejudice, and they have to have adequately completed this program. That means no type of bad conduct happened while they were in the program, which I'm assuming if you did have any kind of bad conduct in the program, they would just kick you out anyway. I just feel like if you can't get your record expunged, then you don't need to keep those people in the program. I guess unless they truly want to, because they have nothing else to do. But I feel like if they fully complete the program and then get released, then that should be enough. Okay? Now, the steps that these incarcerated individuals have to take once they release to have their records expunged is they have to file a petition at the court in the county that they received the sentence in. The courts have to determine when this petition is filed, if they have been released from custody. You know, which I feel like if you're being close to release and you have a release day, you should be able to file it early and your record can be expunged upon your release. But that's just my personal opinion.
Makes sense to me.
And they have to double check just to make sure that they actually completed the CCC program. Once they are released, if they are probation or parole and etc., they won't be required to complete the probation or parole. Of course, once the record is expunged, because they're expunging all those convictions that you're on probation or parole for, they won't be required to complete it as long as they have not violated the probation or parole in any way. And this is why I said they need to do it before. Some of you not sure of the race that watches my channel right now fully. I do know that we're older generation, so I will be trying to watch my cursing. But I can't promise my little audio clips won't be cursing.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Okay, but I have seen in cases parole officers, probation officers, etc. pick with the person that is being released, making it very difficult for them. It's like they're trying to antagonize them to do something. And that is why I need this to be something they're doing from the moment they're released. They can have it as long as they do become released, the record would be expunged. Because if you have to put it, granted, not all of them. I've met great ones. Okay? But let's be real. Some of them pick better, find any little thing to try to send you back to jail, to get you in trouble, etc. Regardless if you came out as a model. Some of them really just have that vendetta when it comes to certain people, especially people who are non of the majority. So they have to have not violated the probation or parole anyway, then they won't have to complete it once the record is expunged. So all the convictions that they were serving that sentence for can be relieved at that time, okay? All of them. Not just one, not just two, all of them can be relieved at that time. Also in this order, something's in my eye. Also in this order, they don't have to list any of their prior convictions or applications unless it comes to the application of any type of teacher credentialing, a peace officer, running for public office. This was 2021, y'all remember that. But as far as I know, I thought Cali governor they don't really mess with, orange goo like that. That and for contracting with the California State Lottery Commission. So in any of those cases, you will have to list your prior convictions on your application, but any other application you do not once that record is expunged. So if all these requirements are met, they may withdraw their guilty plea or plea of nolo contendere.
Stop it. Get some help.
CONTENDERE.
Oh. Okay.
For a not guilty plea, or if they plead not guilty and then they were convicted, they set aside the verdict of guilt. In either case, the court shall dismiss the accusations or any info against the defendant, releasing all the disabilities and penalties that were put upon them because of the convictions. Now, once they're released, they become currently charged, they cannot get an expungement of this record. Again, this is why this is something that needs to be done upon their time of release. Don't even allow them to get out. Allow them to, feel good coming out, saying, I'm out, I did my duty, my records is expunged, I'm ready to go. Okay, from the moment they're out, not running to the courthouses, which when I read some articles, some of them are going to the courthouses multiple times, resubmitting docs, doing all this extra paperwork. There was a freaking judge that simply denied a guy just because he said he didn't know about the Assembly Bill 2147. So because you're ignorant in this matter?
But you did this for what?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
Why though?
He didn't have to go look and learn and figure out what it was. He could just, I don't know what this is tonight.
That is so stupid.
So man got to resubmit all this paperwork and things like that. That's crazy. They need to do it from the moment they leave the jail. Okay, it should be just automatic. And then all of this has to be done in person. So there is no electronic way of doing it. There is no online. Everything has to be done in person. You have to go get the plea to the court, to the petitioner, etc. And then please note that having a dismissal of these charges does not permit you to hold a firearm. So just because your charges become dismissed or the record becomes expunged, in this case, it does not, from what I'm reading, does not allow you to still own a firearm after. So technically, you're still a felon.
It just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
In a way. Just saying. And the dismissal of an accusation or information underlying a conviction pursuant to this section does not permit a person prohibited from holding public office. Remember, this is 2021. This is 2021. And it says, release should not be granted under this section unless the prosecuting attorney has 15-day notice of this petition. Now, this shall be assumed if this is tied with the court. So if they file, if this is filed with the court. So if they file the petition with the court, it's assumed that they have the 15 days. I don't even know why that's in there. They should just say they have 15 days to at least a minimum of 15 days to work on it or something. I don't understand why relief should not be granted. So are you saying that you're going to deny this and they have to redo it just because it wasn't 15 days before?
Fire everybody.
Moving on. It can also be denied if the prosecuting attorney fails to appear and object to the petition. They cannot move to or set aside or otherwise appeal the grant of that petition. I don't understand. This is why we don't need to leave these decisions up to the judges and the prosecuting attorneys and stuff once they get out. We need a system put in place, a set group of people, a set group of team, set little part of the team in the department that makes these decisions, and you file and do all the necessary paperwork while they're still incarcerated. Okay, so once upon release, it's just part of that. Whoever works on the releases and stuff, give them the job. Now, I think it's very, 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 very important to note the EMT requirements, okay? Because in order to become a firefighter on the outside, you have to have an EMT license. But with the EMT license, there are some restrictions.
Fuck. Oh my.
That have been put in place that prevent them from being able to get that EMT license, which is what needed for them to become a firefighter, okay? Now, UCLA has pointed this out, and there was actually a lawsuit as well that was trying to fight this and get this ban lifted for a person to become an EMT. Because now, yes, now Assembly Bill 2147 sounded good in theory, in nature, but if it doesn't provide that same relief to having an EMT license, now those incarcerated individuals can't become a firefighter.
This is the worst.
This is the worst.
This is the worst.
So you can't become an EMT if you have been convicted of 2 or more felonies, if you've been released from prison for any felony in the last decade, or if you've had 2 or more misdemeanor drug convictions in the last 5 years. Okay? And there are some other things, but those other things relate to the same restrictions they have for people who can't join the program. So they wouldn't even be in part of the program anyway, such as unaliving someone, sexual offenses, and etc. They wouldn't even be a part of the program. So, yeah. But, okay, although these people can't get their EMT license and etc. like that to become those full fighters making 90 grand plus a year, they can have multiple felonies and become a seasonal firefighter or a volunteer firefighter. So pretty much what they basically had them doing while in jails for those incarcerated firefighters. Had them when they needed them and when they know they had a labor shortage going on. Okay? And speaking of labor shortage, there was also, I read an article, I believe it had to be 2022. All this happened, all these articles and things that I'm reading, I haven't seen anything updated on this recently. But except that more people who are speaking out about it. And there's a quote by one man who said he's just happy because in jail, they asked him if he'd rather be in jail or if he had fun, rather be out here fighting fires. He said out here fighting fires because at least the community loves them out here. They feel like something, they feel like they're doing something and people appreciate them, as opposed to, when they're incarcerated, we're all thinking of them as just menaces to society. But basically, like I said, people with multiple felonies can volunteer and such, just like they use for that labor shortage. And for that labor shortage, what I meant by that is they had a shortage in the penal fire camp. So the CCC program that they had, the penal fire camp, had a shortage of people, and the government wanted to add in professional firefighters to fill in the space. And the law enforcement pushed back and made a quote saying, well, if y'all stop letting people out of prison, this wouldn't be a problem.
Hear yourself say that. Does that sound like it makes sense? Does it sound like it makes sense?
Yeah, but back into the EMT part. But yes, people with multiple felonies and everything can still volunteer. Now, I told y'all there was a lawsuit, right? This lawsuit was filed by the Institute of Justice. And they filed on the behalf of 2 men who were denied their EMT license due to their prior convictions. And 2 men who had completed the CCD program successfully and also were able to get their records expunged, still could not become EMTs, therefore could not become firefighters. What the? Now, the judge at this court, I don't know if it was the judge or the court admitted, but the article says the court admitted, the judge was Judge John Mendez. They admitted that the plaintiffs have alleged a valid injury. So they were saying like, yeah, this is very debilitating for those incarcerated firefighters once they've been released. But even with that being said, they still end up siding with the state. And the state has a pretty good argument for public safety. Okay, that seems to be what the state was arguing, is having felons be EMTs is for public safety. And Judge John Mendez
Okay.
stated that blocking ex-offenders, quote, from becoming EMT certified advances the government's legitimate interest in ensuring public safety. So I kind of want to know what they were completely concerned about with them being EMTs. Is it learning the skills of healing people? Is it having access to drugs and medications? Because you make them an EMTB, then they don't have that access to drugs. They have very, I think you just got, back when I was just the EMT basic.
Back in my day.
It was just albuterol, ibuprofen, and aspirin. Yep, albuterol, aspirin, little glucose gel for the diabetics. But that was it on the civilian side. And military side was a whole different party. But on the civilian side, I'm pretty sure that's all you can do. So if they, but I'm pretty sure, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think you need to be at least an EMT intermediate, if not an EMT paramedic, in order to be a firefighter. So That I wonder if that is a concern. Is it that you don't want them to learn a bunch of medications and things like that? Is it having access to sharp tools and things like that? Because are we giving these people a second chance or are we not? Are we saying they have been rehabilitated during this program, or is that just a bunch of BS y'all saying to get a bunch of people to fight wildfires? I'm just trying to figure it out. Is this program a rehabilitating? Or is it y'all cheap labor?
I said what I said.
And I say this to lots of people. The world believes in second chances, but only for yourself. Rarely do we accept second chances or giving people second chances on the outside. And just think of it from the celebrity point, from the canceling point. I will not stop supporting you if it's your first mess up within that category and, you know, you apologize, you're learning, etc. Repeat, yes. But I just feel like our world has a problem with really only expecting second and third chances for yourself, not for other people. Okay? So, like I said, are we giving them a second chance, or are we just trying to get cheap labor, state of California, for these incarcerated firefighters? Now, over time, enrollment has dropped. In 2021, I told you those numbers were smaller. They only had a little over 1,400 firefighters part of that penal fire camp. Okay? And in 2011, they had over 4,000. Now, granted, we have had this after COVID and things like that. So I believe this was an incentive for 2021 because, like I said, this was dropped in 2021 to kind of get them back out there to try to build up the penal camps. But if we're going into 2022, we're seeing people struggling. 2024, you're not really hearing about it. Because if it's a great program, I feel like they would have really been talking about it right now, especially during the wildfires that we're dealing with now in California. By the way, side note, they making me want to do a video on can you sue your government? But anyway, moving on. I just feel like we would be hearing about it more if it was really good, especially with having over 30% of them fighting these wildfires right now. Okay? I want to see more success stories. I want to hear more success stories. I see that some are being expunged, but it's seeming like it's not for everybody who you're allowed in this program. It's being allowed to become a firefighter when they get out. And my thing is it about, like I said it once, is it about them learning the skill or is it something else? Because we can work around anything else. Okay, if you don't want them to be an EMT just in general, then don't let them be an EMT just in general. Maybe make it so that if they did have the expungement of their record, they can be EMTs in the sense of pairing it with firefighting, meaning they can't do it on their own, okay? So if they need that skill to become a firefighter, allow them to become a firefighter or start another job, another position of firefighters who aren't EMT certified. Because you don't necessarily all need to be EMT certified to fight a fire. It is very handy to have. I remember working as an EMT, we always had the firefighters with us and they were all paramedic. Now I'm thinking about, I believe you have to be EMT paramedic. But they always came to our calls whether it was a fire or not. I get it, then it becomes a scheduling thing. You got to make sure you don't schedule too many non-EMTs with too many EMTs, but give them a chance. Stop using them for cheap labor and then not allowing them to make those 90 grand salaries when they get out, although they were doing some of the same work.
I said what I said.
UCLA did suggest that they should have automatic expungement, and then they should also have a state referral pipeline, sponsored pipeline, which, yeah, if you've been fighting along, these professionals have been teaching them for the Department of Fire and Forestry, or Forestry and Fire, whichever way that's said. They should be able to provide great recommendations. It should not be hard for an incarcerated individual who meets these requirements to get a job afterwards if they have completed their program while in there. Now back to that second chance thing. For some of these people with these convictions that are being released, it's happening in their childhood. It's happening when they're younger. That's another reason we really, really need to give them a second chance and make sure this is for second chances and not just labor shortage. Some of these people are coming out from being youths, being knuckleheads and just being a knucklehead from youth. I've been seeing you get released from juvenile and go straight to county, like within 2 days, 48 hours. Are we going to give our youth a second chance? The young folk, and at this point, young folk, anybody under 30. People that's been in jail since they were 19, 20. I don't care if they were above 18. They were still youth. Not youth, but young. Very young. If they're 28 and saying, dang, that is, I look back at right now at my age, I look back
Back in my day.
and think, God, I was so stupid at 22. Or why did I do such ignorant stuff at 20? It's because I didn't have the knowledge right then and there. Okay? Ignorant. I know I did ignorant stuff. I didn't have the knowledge. Okay? And which I'm assuming a lot of these are probably our younger folk. They told me a 28-year-old is coming out after serving 6, 7 years, 8 years. Yes, he was an adult going in, but dang, he's 28 now. 30, you a completely different person when you hit 30. If you don't get there mentally, your body will start telling you for a fact. You better remember to stretch 20 minutes before you go to bed, Kiwi. But y'all, that brings us to the end of the video. Everybody say hi to Zaz. I haven't seen him at the corner of my eye. But Zaz said hello, y'all. Alright? Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. I really kind of want to know y'all thoughts on the whole EMT situation. Do you think they have a valid reason to not allow them to be an EMT? Do you truly think it's a public safety issue? Okay? Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later.
For me, break, for me, break the body for me.